Hi, this is Sherry Bevan and I run The Confident Mother, which is an independent coaching practice for ambitious women who want to get that career and leadership confidence. And tonight, I'd like to talk to you about delegating effectively. Now, somebody asked me today, how do you come up with all these ideas for your blog posts and for your podcast and your Facebook Lives? And actually, most of the ideas that I come up with come from conversations I've had with real women like you. And this is one of them. I want to talk about how to delegate effectively and confidently. Now, being good at delegating is really important for your career and leadership confidence, because when you delegate effectively, you are setting out your stall, you're showing people, you're demonstrating that you are a good leader or that you have leadership potential. Because when you delegate effectively, you make the most of the skills and the experience of the individuals in your team. And that's got to be good for you because it means you get better results. So you and your team get better results. So learning how to delegate effectively is really important. The challenge that I see that a lot of women face is when they get their first leadership role, or they take on a new promotion, or they start to work with an assistant for the first time, is a kind of veer between that being too controlling and too hesitant. And really what you want is to be somewhere in the middle so that you're being assertive and not aggressive. So that's what I want to cover tonight. So I'm just going to share 3 tips with you, and then for more tips you can go over to my blog post. And in fact, this is a topic that came up in my newsletter this week, so if you want more confidence, career tips and strategies, and just register for my newsletter and you've got all of those every week, normally on a Tuesday night. So my first tip for you, so I'm just going to check what I've, my notes here. So my first tip for you is when you're delegating, it is about delegating and not abdicating responsibility. So it's not about being too controlling and micromanaging, but it is delegate so that the person takes responsibility for getting that work done, but not leaving them to it altogether. So you're kind of keeping an eye on things, you're checking in on things, put regular checkpoints, milestones in. If you've asked the person to get a spreadsheet ready, perhaps working on budget or finance figures, and you've got to submit that at 5 o'clock on Friday, then don't set their deadline as 4:30 on Friday, because that gives you no time to check it. So when you're delegating, it's about still taking control, but not being controlling. So delegate, don't abdicate, and give yourself time to review the work before you forward it on or before you need to do whatever you need to do with it. I think the second thing that's really important for me is about being really clear in your communication. So being really clear on what the outcome is, what are the results that you want, and when do you need it by. Now, that's not to say that you're going to control and communicate the how you want it done. I absolutely believe it's important as a leader to get the best out of people. You've got to allow them to do things their way. Your way might not be the way that suits them, and it's not that one is right or one is wrong, just different. But in order to get that balance between somebody doing the work their way, you've got to be really clear in your communication up front. What you want and when you want it. And if there are specific caveats around that, perhaps you need to make sure that it's been done in Excel, or you want to ensure that it's been done in PowerPoint, or you need to let that person know that you're going to be forwarding the final report that they prepare to the executive team, so that they know and they're clear on what type of language you expect them to be using in that report or that summary or that engagement plan. So be really clear in your communication, but particularly on what you want and when you want it. Because if you're not clear in that from the start, you're on a losing battle before you've even got started. And then the third thing, particularly if you're new to delegating, it's about being patient and understanding. Now, when it comes to delegating, the more you do it, a bit like riding a bike, the easier it gets. But at the start, because that person might not be used to working with you, maybe you're new to that team, or maybe it's a new assistant that's been assigned to you, you've got to get used to each other. You've got to get used to the way you both work. So some patience is required. So build in extra time to review the work, to review that the person's understood. You've got to be available and open for them to come to you with queries or questions. And make that time, because the time that you invest now up front in that delegation relationship will pay you dividends in the long run. Because you can't be effective in your role if you are doing everything, or if you're having to redo work as well. So there's some patience involved in making a delegation relationship work really well. So those are my 3 tips for you tonight. Delegate, don't abdicate. Be very clear in your communication about what you want and when you want it. And then finally, patience and understanding, because this is a long-term strategy potentially that you're working on to delegate more effectively. I've put some more tips over on my blog post for you. So if you go to theconfidentmother.co.uk, and there are more tips there on how to delegate effectively. I hope that's been really useful for you tonight. If you've listened to this and you've got a fabulous tip on how to delegate, please do leave a comment below, because I'm always, I love sharing knowledge and information with the women that I work with and the women who follow this page. So if you've got your own top tip on how to delegate effectively and confidently so that you can get that promotion that you're after, just leave it on the comment below. Thanks for listening. Speak to you soon. This has been Sherry Bevan, and I run The Confident Mother.